Now, Jurassic Park has never been a franchise that I've been necessarily terrified of. I mean, don't get me wrong, the suspense that these films carry, especially the older films, was definitely something to have you on the edge of your seat. But I wouldn't ever say that I came out on the other end of one of these movies, terrified that I'd have nightmares of these extinct CGI creatures. However, that mindset was quickly put to shame after experiencing the analog horror called Prehistoric Emergence, a terrifying analog horror series based in the Jurassic Park universe. The series revolves around these holes in the ground that have suddenly opened up in the earth, starting with the ocean, then seeping to the land. And out of these openings would emerge a plethora of different species of dinosaurs.
Its size and maneuverability allows it to attack swiftly and without warning. The Diplodocus is currently being investigated for additional weaknesses.
Species that have been extinct for millions of years now, inhabiting our modern world. The series tackles how humanity has dealt with this change, and more importantly, how humans plan on surviving this emergence. The series goes into some pretty terrifying places, because if dinosaurs randomly came back to Earth, it would be incredibly horrifying, as we would no longer be the apex predator, left to hide in fear of being eaten. Hey everyone, it's Wildman. I hope you are doing well, and yeah, before we get into it, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video and commenting bruh as usual, because all these things do help me out a lot. And yeah, let's get into it.
All coastal regions and beaches across the nation are to be immediately evacuated and closed until further notice.
The introduction of these tapes begins with a message that states, "Emergency alert system. Do not enter the ocean. All coastal regions and beaches across the nation are to be immediately evacuated and closed until further notice." Issued by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and this warning in particular comes across as bizarre and pretty disturbing, because why is there an alert telling you to stay away from the ocean? It's not even specified as to why, and in most cases this kind of a warning would be because of a potential flooding or perhaps even a tsunami, but this alert more so gives off that we're being warned to stay away in fear of what is inside. Which, if you don't already have a kind of rational fear of the ocean, you definitely should, because it's incredibly terrifying down there. I mean, it's no surprise that the ocean is incredibly vast and significantly larger than the land on the earth. The ocean taking up 71% of the earth, while land only covers 29% of it. And on top of that fact, less than 26.1% of the ocean has been discovered as of 2024. Meaning that there is life down in the ocean that we haven't even become close to discovering. Which also makes you kind of think, what kind of life must be floating in the middle of the ocean? An entirely undiscovered world right in our backyard. Unknown horrors that have yet to be seen. The tape then goes on to say that previously believed to be extinct species have begun reappearing and are displaying aggressive behavior. It goes on to state that the reason for the reappearance of these species is unknown, though it has been theorized that this massive hole in the ocean floor that is suddenly opened up may be the way they're coming into our ocean.
The reason for the reemergence of these previously extinct marine species is currently unknown, although it is theorized that the formation of a massive blue hole in the ocean has provided these ancient creatures with an entry point into our waters. This blue hole is believed to lead to a hidden region where these extinct animals have continued to exist.
But this would also mean that there's another layer of ocean below ours, acting as a portal from another world. And if you guys have seen Ice Age, in that movie it kind of works the same as what I believe is happening in this tape, where breaking below the earth there is another land right below ours. The tape then goes into detail about the following thought to be extinct species that has been spotted since this hole opened up, starting off with the Mosasaurus. The tape goes into specifics regarding the attributes of the Mosasaurus. Specifically, one detail that makes them even more terrifying is that they are able to swim at speeds of 30 miles per hour. Comparing that to a human's swimming speed of 2 miles per hour, it would make it pretty impossible to escape. And just for reference, this is what it looks like going 2 miles per hour compared to 30.
Are you going 33 right now?
Just off the side.
Stop playing with him, man!
So yeah, there is no getting away from this horrifying creature.
Furthermore, there have been several instances of mosasaurs capsizing small boats and consuming the passengers. Beware that mosasaurs will stick their head above the water to scan their surroundings. If you see this, leave the vicinity immediately.
Next on the list is the Dunkleosteus. The most terrifying thing about this creature is that for some reason it displays incredible aggression toward humans. There are no real weaknesses to this creature other than shooting a harpoon or a high velocity bullet similar to a sniper. Only then will you be able to penetrate the protective layer. But in the rare occurrence that you happen to have one of these two weapons at your immediate disposal, there's nothing you can really do other than watching as this high-speed killing machine makes its way to you. With a biting strength PSI of 6,000, which is twice the bite force of a crocodile. At least you can hope that your death will be a swift one.
Its size and maneuverability allow it to attack swiftly and without warning. The Dunkleosteus is currently being investigated for additional weaknesses. Furthermore, it has been discovered that the Dunkleosteus is very aggressive. In order to survive an encounter with this predator, it is recommended that you employ avoidance.
The next dinosaur on the list is the Megalodon. Being an apex predator, this creature's appetite is no joke, eating up to 2,500 pounds of food per day. With its insatiable hunger, this has proved to be incredibly negative for the entire ecosystem, as it devours anything in sight. And on top of that, this tank of a creature reaches lengths of up to 60 feet, making it the largest predator in the ocean, which I do need to fact check this, because when I first saw this I was like, I'm pretty sure blue whales are significantly larger, and I did, and they are significantly larger. So a little bit of a mistake here, guys. The tape goes on to say that the Megalodon must be exterminated because of the damage they're doing to the ecosystem already, depleting the entire food chain.
Megalodons are not dealt with. They will devastate our ocean beyond repair, permanently putting our food security and economy at risk. Trust that authorities are urgently handling the situation.
Then going into the second installment, the tape details on how there was an influx of new creatures emerging from underground has only continued. Where before they were coming out of this massive hole in the ocean, now another hole has opened up in the Adirondack Mountains.
We strongly advise you to maintain a safe distance and refrain from entering these unknown voids. Stay tuned until the end of the broadcast for more updates on these openings.
The tape also warns about the citizens of Australia, as the Megalania has come back to terrorize the land. Weighing over 1,000 pounds, it can grow up to 23 feet, making it impossible not to be overpowered by this massive lizard. It is highly advised to stay out of forests and stop hiking due to the increase in population of these creatures.
The Megalania's coloration allowed it to disappear into its surroundings.
But it is getting worse, as they are beginning to make their way into the city. Another creature that has begun making the rounds is the woolly mammoth, though there isn't much to be afraid of regarding this creature, as woolly mammoths are herbivores, therefore as long as you keep your distance, you should be fine. It's also the first of the prehistoric creatures to be captured and placed in a zoo, which in itself is pretty ironic considering how afraid we are of these creatures, and the one that won't attack us unless provoked, we end up locking in a zoo for profit.
Meanwhile, legislation is slowly being considered to ban the hunting of these mammoths. The Toronto Zoo is excited to announce it will be the first zoo to feature the woolly mammoth. Buy tickets now to visit the mammoth next month.
The tape brings up the efforts to kill the megalodons and details how there is someone helping in this battle. The sperm whale that grows up to 60 feet, and while it's a similar size to the megalodon, its mass is what helps it in the battle, weighing 57 tons compared to the megalodon's 50 tons.
Stated that it would win against the megalodon about 65% of the time. Megalodons gain an advantage in situations where they can sneak up on living audience. Our hope is that both creatures will keep each other in check. The situation is being monitored, as living audience could quickly become a threat to ecosystems if overpopulated.
Reports have come in that in Colombia and India have entered a state of emergency because of the overwhelming population of these creatures inhabiting the land, and it is advised for people to stay indoors until the matter can be resolved. Though based on recent events, it's only getting worse with no end in sight, as these prehistoric creatures are flooding the ocean and now mainland. For Colombia, what they have to worry about is the Titan abata, which is a massive aquatic snake that will have no trouble swallowing people whole. There is also the Basuki indicus to worry about, which is a terrestrial snake.
This swamp giant's diet consists of big fish and crocodiles. It will dominate the swamp's ecosystem without challenge. Not much is known of the Basuki indicus. It has been seen to attack larger mammals and humans. Citizens are pleading for the army to intervene, as this snake is terrorizing the country.
Things are getting so bad that governments are resorting to bombing the holes in hopes that this will stop the creatures from emerging. Though one of the workers that was at the site working on the bombing of the holes did end up recording a strange sound coming from within the ground. This was recorded in Billings, Montana.
A worker on one of these sites recorded a strange sound coming from one of these formations.
And after this recording was made, speculation and theories began to run wild about how the sound emitting from the hole sounds larger than any of the creatures that have already emerged, leaving people to believe that perhaps the prehistoric creatures are emerging in an attempt to escape whatever was terrorizing them in the land below, something worse than what's already come out. In the next tape, it begins by stating prehistoric emergence refers to an event in which numerous animals once believed to be extinct for millions of years have suddenly reappeared through unexplained openings such as caves, deep holes, and blue holes. Then we are immediately brought into a flurry of news segments detailing the horrific impacts of the emergence.
Breaking news. The third fishing boat of this week has been discovered capsized near the coast of Portugal, proving that our oceans have reached an unprecedented level of unpredictability and danger. Unfortunately, there were 4 casualties with no survivors found. It has now been confirmed that a mosasaurus has been haunting this region.
Attention residents of Australia. Several homeowners in Glen Waverley and Mossman have reported finding Macalania nests in their basement. Furthermore, one of these homeowners spotted a baby Macalania living in their home. If you encounter a nest or infant Macalania, call authorities and your local division of GPAC will be dispatched to handle the situation.
A terrifying discovery has been made in Billings, Montana. Mass panic has spread across the entire state as a dangerous creature that we all hoped would stay extinct has reemerged. This creature is known as the Tyrannosaurus.
And it seems that there is no end in sight. In an interruption provided by the GPAC, the Global Prehistoric Affairs Commission, they detail how they are putting an end to the bombardment of the openings because this isn't making a difference, as more openings are appearing faster than they can close them. And rather than combating the openings, efforts have been focused toward studying these creatures and understanding why they are here. It is also being heavily enforced to be at least a mile away from the formations, and that if you're living within a mile, you will be assisted with relocation. Though when you really think about it, a mile isn't really that far from an opening. That's essentially a 20-minute walk, and a lot of these creatures are significantly faster than humans, meaning that they could probably be at your house in probably like 5 minutes. So even if you were about 2 miles away from one of these openings, again, it wouldn't make too much of a difference, as these creatures could find you pretty easily after emerging. The next terrifying creature is the Quetzalcoatlus, which has been spotted in Texas, an unimaginable horrifying sight to see flying in the sky. And even if you are swallowed by this creature, you won't die right away, but instead you will be slowly digested by the acid in its stomach. Though in most cases this creature will go toward smaller creatures like pets, sheep, and small deer. Though in most cases doesn't mean all cases, as a child was taken by one of these not too long ago.
A recent tragedy struck Frisco when a mother witnessed her son be snatched by a Quetzalcoatlus on his way out from school. The child has since been presumed dead. This heartbreaking event has put many parents in a state of fear and disarray. Multiple school districts have since been shut down as emergency safety protocols are being implemented. Furthermore, the Quetzalcoatlus has also been attacking livestock, leaving Texan farmers in crisis. In Lubbock, a farmer attempted to scare the creature away by using his farm dog. Tragically, the dog became prey instead. These tragedies have sparked an outcry among residents. Stay tuned for an update on how local communities are mobilizing in response to this prehistoric threat.
An update on Australia with the massive lizards, known as the Megalania, is displayed, their favorite food being kangaroos, leading to a steep decline in the population. Due to the increasing of numbers of this creature, the GPAC has initiated a bounty for every Megalania killed at $2,000, which honestly, with that kind of a price, you would see me out there too, fighting for my life, but damn, that's a good chunk of change. Not even change, that's like my rent. Yeah, you might die trying to get one of these, but also that's like $2,000 if you do survive, which not that bad of a deal to be honest. Though this incentive has been highly warned against because of a new species that has emerged from one of the openings. This creature being called the marsupial lion. Though only measuring 5 feet, this animal is capable of taking down predators much larger than itself.
Flesh and bone. Furthermore, this marsupial is an ambush predator that utilizes stealth against its unaware prey. Surviving an encounter with a thylacoleo is highly unlikely. However, to improve your chances, do not run, avoid sudden movements, and make loud noises to deter the predator. The emergence of the thylacoleo has made Megalania hunting even more dangerous. With its arrival, the kangaroo population faces an even greater risk.
In further news, the Brachiosaurus has begun emerging from the openings. Weighing in at 30 tons and 40 feet tall, these creatures are also herbivores, but that doesn't mean they won't accidentally step on you if you get too close. And while many have celebrated the arrival of these peaceful creatures, the environment isn't fit to sustain their diet of 400 pounds a day, and so they have wandered into protected forests that were preserved to combat climate change, but now they are being devoured by the Brachiosaurus. This has also sparked polarization in people, with those wanting a bounty to be placed on the creature, and those who believe that the creature should not be punished for simply displaying its natural behavior. But needless to say, our current environment is not fit to sustain the diet of these creatures, because we don't have the abundance of trees that were around when these creatures existed. In news in Billings, Montana, there was a massacre claiming 19 lives at the hands of a T-Rex tearing through the city's downtown. After the massacre that took 19 in Billings, Montana, things have only continued to get exponentially worse, as now fear has begun spreading across the US due to the surge in Tyrannosaurus and Quetzalcoatlus activity. They have begun migrating to neighboring states in search of food, which has led many to purchase firearms to protect themselves from these creatures. However, perhaps the most terrifying part about this is that because the T-Rex's brain is so tiny compared to the size of its skull, any shots to the head will most likely miss the brain unless you have incredible precision, meaning that a few shots to the head probably won't kill the creature, and it will keep coming until you're either out of bullets or out of time. The only hope that you can have if you encounter this creature is that if you get a lucky shot that does hit the brain. After this strange broadcast interruption happens, which shows an ancient statue with this strange noise playing.
With nothing on this earth to oppose it, the T-Rex has reclaimed its throne. Fear is spreading across the U.S. as the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Quetzalcoatlus are migrating towards neighboring states. This has spurred many to purchase firearms in a desperate attempt to defend themselves against these prehistoric threats.
In the final tape, it's the most horrifying one of all, as in this one, it begins by showing us the sheer size of these prehistoric creatures. A Zune news segment cuts in and addresses the strange broadcast interruption that happened in the previous episode regarding the statue with strange noises playing. The news station claims that this was someone who hacked the broadcast as a prank, but that honestly does seem like a cover-up for something else, that perhaps this statue is significant and someone was trying to warn us about it. The news segment also details how multiple apex predators have just recently emerged from the ocean, one of these being the arthropod, known as the Anomalocaris. Though not looking like much of a threat now, this creature once ruled the Cambrian seas. And in the first bit of good news in this entire series, the Anomalocaris actually has some pretty positive effects on today's environment, as they help get rid of shipworms by eating them, which are these worms that burrow their way into any wooden structure, eating and growing inside of the wood until the structure collapses from so much loss. Another creature that has emerged is the kraken, known as the Chimerocaris. With its impressive size, it's another horrific sight to behold if you are unfortunate enough to be in its path. But since for the most part these creatures are docile and are not apex predators, fishermen have begun fishing them out of the waters, which has resulted in a spike in demand for exotic prehistoric fishes to be served in restaurants. The tape glitching during the segment stating, "We have sinned."
Recently, Thai fishermen caught a group of wild Anomalocaris. The creature immediately became a sensation in Thai restaurants. Now, we're witnessing a spike in demand for exotic prehistoric seafood. Many fishermen have expressed interest in capturing these creatures. This could be an issue for we have sinned. This could be an issue for we may undo the positive effects these animals had on the ocean by overfishing them. Activists are starting boycott campaigns on restaurants that are planning on serving Anomalocaris tempura and Chimeroceras calamari. GPAC has ignored this issue entirely, most likely due to their focus on military organization, meaning we will have to rely on the good nature of humans to save these creatures. Pray for the safety of the Anomalocaris and the Chimeroceras.
And with this being the last tape in the first season, we are left with almost this bad taste in our mouths. In the series, there has been these openings that have begun occurring where numerous species that have been extinct for millions of years have begun to emerge and reclaim the Earth. Although it is unknown as of now what they are running from, though it must be something even more terrifying than the Megalodon. It must be the apex predator from the land below. I think it's also worth mentioning how humans have reacted to the prehistoric emergence. Rather than welcoming the change, humans have immediately gone into panic at the fact that we are no longer the apex predator of the land above. And in that, we have become desperate to take control back, as we've been seen bombing these holes, trying to prevent any more creatures from emerging. On top of this, we've begun setting bounties on the lizards and capturing woolly mammoths. Instead of attempting to coexist with these creatures, we seek control, bombing their entryways and killing off those we can. A kind of commentary on the human species, always desperate to take control, regardless of what other species stands in the way. But yeah, I really did enjoy this series. Let me know if you do want to see a second video on this, as there is season 2, which is still kind of being uploaded as of now. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment bruh as usual. And I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my beautiful channel members, as well as my ultimate tiers, Grim Adiano and Alejandro from the Tower. If you do want early access to videos, as well as your name right here, it's only $1.99. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye. Love ya.